It's pretty wild when you think about it. The image most of us have in our heads of a super intelligent person, it's almost always wrong. So let's pull back the curtain on this. Because what we think genius looks like and what it actually is, well, they're often two completely different things. No, really, just for a second, picture it. When I say highly intelligent person, who do you see? Is it that person who talks a mile a minute, the one who's always ready for a debate, the person who seems to have the answer to everything like right on the tip of their tongue? Maybe you're picturing someone who just kind of takes over the conversation, solving these big, complicated problems out loud like it's some kind of performance. We have this tendency to think intelligence is this loud, flashy thing that's always trying to prove itself. But this is where it gets really interesting. Psychology totally flips that idea on its head. See, true intelligence isn't just about the facts you have stored in your brain. It's about the engine that processes the world around you. And that engine? It shows up in these quiet, kind of subtle, and honestly really surprising daily habits. Okay, so let's start where real intelligence actually operates. Not out in the spotlight, but in that quiet inner world. So let's start by going inward. The first group of habits we're going to look at is all about that rich inner world you've got going on, the relationship you have with your own thoughts. And first up is a huge one. And honestly, it gets a bad rap all the time. The first habit is enjoying time alone. Genuinely enjoying time by yourself. So if you're someone who really craves solitude, it doesn't mean you're antisocial or that you don't like people. Not at all. It just means your brain is working overtime, and being alone gives it the quiet space it desperately needs to sort through information, connect the dots, and let those amazing ideas bubble up. It's not antisocial, it's essential brain maintenance. And hey, this isn't just a hunch, there's actually research on this. A study from the London School of Economics found that for a lot of highly intelligent folks, constant socializing can actually feel, well, a bit draining. That quiet time isn't empty, it's where their brain comes alive. All right, our next habit is something I think a lot of us do, but we might feel a little weird about it. The second habit is talking to themselves. You ever catch yourself talking through a problem out loud? Or maybe just narrating what you're doing? Well, it turns out there's a name for that. Psychologists call it self-directed speech. And get this, far from being weird, it's actually a superpowered thinking tool. When you talk to yourself, you're literally organizing your thoughts in real time, making your ideas clearer and locking them into your memory. It's like your brain is creating its own personal whiteboard session. Now, let's talk about a habit that can honestly feel like a curse sometimes. The third habit is overthinking small things. Getting completely stuck on the small stuff. Replaying a short conversation in your head, or agonizing over a seemingly tiny decision. To someone on the outside, it might just look like you're hesitating or can't make up your mind. But what's really happening is deep processing. The same powerful mind that can figure out complex problems doesn't just turn off for the little things. It's busy exploring every single angle, every possible outcome. So no, it's not indecisiveness, it's thoroughness. Okay, so those are some of the habits of your inner world. But what happens when that thoughtful mind turns its attention outward? Well, it leads to a completely different way of seeing and engaging with everything around you. The fourth habit is observing more than speaking. Think about it. In a group conversation, the person with the most going on upstairs often isn't the one dominating the discussion. Nope, they're usually the one quietly taking it all in. But don't get it twisted, this is anything but passive. They are actively gathering data. They're analyzing people's tone of voice, their body language, their reactions. They're looking for the hidden patterns in the social dynamics. So when they finally do speak, it's not just a reaction, it's a considered response based on all that information they've processed. This next one, well, it's the engine that drives everything else we've talked about. The fifth habit is endless curiosity. For a truly brilliant mind, curiosity isn't just something that sparks up now and then. It's the default setting. It's always on. Their brain is just constantly asking why. And not just about huge cosmic questions, but about everyday things. Why is this system designed this way? Why did that person use that specific word? We're getting to what might just be the most advanced and maybe the most important signs of a powerful intellect. The sixth habit is being comfortable saying, I don't know. How someone deals with uncertainty and not knowing. Just think about how much pressure we feel to have an answer for everything all the time. But the secret is, true intelligence isn't about knowing it all. It's about knowing the limits of what you know. Saying, I don't know, isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of intellectual honesty, and it's the real starting line for learning something new. This is actually the polar opposite of something you may have heard of called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people with very little knowledge tend to be wildly overconfident. A truly brilliant mind sees just how vast and complex a topic is, and that makes them humble. That humility is a superpower, and that humility, that comfort with saying, I don't know, leads directly into our next habit. The seventh habit is changing their mind. If you're truly open to not knowing, you have to be open to the possibility that you might be wrong. It means you have to be willing to change your mind. There's a term for this too, cognitive flexibility. It's simply the ability to update your own thinking when you're hit with new, better information. And let me tell you, that is not weakness. That is one of the biggest signs of an advanced, secure, and powerful intellect. All right, let's look at habits that are all about connecting with the world, but on a much deeper level. The eighth habit is having a strong sense of humor. I mean more than just knowing a few good jokes. Cognitively speaking, humor is incredibly complex. It requires your brain to spot a pattern, break that pattern in a totally unexpected way, and then connect two completely different ideas to create a moment of surprise. It's like mental gymnastics. So it's really no surprise that study after study has found a strong link between higher intelligence and getting and telling more complex or even darker kinds of jokes. Now let's get into the traits that actually play out in a person's daily life and their own unique rhythm. Let's start with a classic stereotype that's actually often true. The ninth habit is thinking late at night. A lot of highly intelligent people are night owls. They feel their brains really kick into high gear right when everyone else is starting to wind down. Some researchers think this is directly tied to that cognitive flexibility we just talked about. It's a natural tendency to drift away from traditional schedules. When all the noise of the day finally quiets down, their own thoughts can get much louder. So let's step back for a second. We've got enjoying solitude, talking to yourself, observing, being humble. When you put all these quiet habits together, what do they really point toward? What's the common thread? Well, they all point to a much deeper drive. The 10th habit is searching for meaning. It's not really about collecting facts or winning arguments. It's about a constant, ongoing search for meaning. It's that deep down need to understand not just how things work, but why they matter in the first place. Which brings us to the simplest, but maybe the most powerful conclusion of all. When you strip everything else away, all these habits, all this processing, it all boils down to one thing. At its very core, intelligence is simply curiosity that refuses to be turned off. So I want to leave you with this one question. Forget all the stereotypes and the pressure to seem smart. Just ask yourself this: what is your mind curious about today? Because following that curiosity, nurturing it, that's how you tap into the most brilliant parts of who you are.